It's a good day to be a Tigers fan. You get your soft home opener against Furman, 35-12 win at home, first home game with the Jumbotron. Texas A&M loses to App State and Chase Bryce, former Clemson QB. Notre Dame loses to Marshall. So two other top 10 teams falling off the board. Clemson's going to stay up high, hopefully, because while the win against Furman wasn't exactly pretty, it was never in doubt that Clemson was going to win this game. Just some notes. I just want to spend a few minutes, not as long as the last video, maybe like 5 to 7 minutes talking about the game as a whole. I really liked how the offense looked early. DJ looked like he was making throws in rhythm. He was putting some throws into short windows. There's some good ball placement that we really hadn't seen from him previously in a long time at the very least. Because he does have great arm strength, so he's able to drive the ball in the short windows. There were still some accuracy issues. There was at least one wide receiver screen where I put the ball far too low. But it's gotten much better than what it was in 21, or at least it looked much better in the past 2 games than what it did in 2021. There's still some worrisome plays where he's like falling down, he's in the grasp of a defensive end, he's trying to throw the ball away, or when he comes back to a receiver too late, or he tries to throw over his body across the middle of the field. And sometimes those plays work. Like, they worked today against Furman, but understandably, against a better team like a Pitt maybe, I guess, or an NC State, that's not going to work. Those are going to be turnovers. So you have to be careful about building those habits long term. And we saw him try to do the same thing against Georgia Tech. So, and it worked fairly well against Georgia Tech too, but I wouldn't expect it to continue to work throughout the year. So hopefully he adjusts to that. I'm getting a little tired of Clemson trying to run power up the middle with Will Shipley. Especially in short yard situations, Will Shipley is 5'11", 205 or something like that. Bring Phil Mafah in those spots. Just stop trying to run Will Shipley up the middle. This offensive line is bad enough as it is. The last thing you need is to not bring your power back into the formation when you're trying to run up the middle in a short yard situation. That was one thing that I noticed we tried doing a couple times that really started to annoy me. It just does not work consistently. You know, as it is, we can barely pick up short yard situations because of our offensive line. So I don't want to hear a situation where you're putting Will Shipley in to be your power back on those kind of plays. Let's see what else. I was kind of surprised how much the defense gave up today. Not so much in the second half, more so in the first half. The defense really didn't dominate. I was viewing this actually as like a stat-boosting game for our defensive players. And I understand we had some substitutions in, but I was still kind of surprised by how well Furman played. I mean, and credit to Furman, the quarterback, the play calling, it worked out pretty well offensively for them. So I think they had a pretty good day, Furman did, against a vaunted Clemson defense. And I was a little surprised by how easily they were able to move up and down the field early in the game. So, you know, I'm nothing to worry about too long term because, again, we did pretty good against Georgia Tech. But still something to keep an eye on, especially in the secondary, I would say. Let's see. Uiagalelei threw an interception in the second half. There was really a miscommunication between him and Brandon Spector. Spector kind of sat down waiting for the ball, and DJ threw like he was going to continue to lead him. And that didn't end up working out in our favor, obviously. And Furman took advantage, but I don't think they ended up getting any points on that drive because our defense did stiffen up a lot more in the second half. I know there were still some Furman drives that gained yardage, but at that point we had already put a lot of backups in. So, you know, giving up some yards when you get your backups in, you're handily winning the game. I'm not too upset about that. What I am upset about is how the offense kind of ground to a halt in the second half. And that's kind of been our identity since Trevor Lawrence left the program. We're really a tale of two halves teamed, where one half is really good and one half is absolutely horrible. And that's kind of what the offense has been. And it stinks that even against a team like Furman, we can't put 2 good halves together. So that's really disappointing. DJ was night and day. In the first half, like I said, looked really good. Excellent ball placement. He was throwing comfortably, and confidently. And in the second half, I just didn't see that at all. I mean, the offense really was not putting in any work. So that was overwhelmingly disappointing. The offensive line, again, was not great today. Even though we were playing Furman, you should look impressive against them. And overall, except like Jordan McFadden, the offensive line just has not looked good at all this year so far. And I just wish the offense as a whole would just be able to put together 2 halves of good football. If you can do that, you can really beat any opponent considering what we have on defense. But the offense just cannot pull together for 2 full halves and put a full game on the field. Some other mistakes. Will Taylor muffed the punt late in the game. It was pretty sloppy overall in the second half. Again, a lot of that relates to the offense, not necessarily special teams, but the offense as a whole was not terrific. Even in the second half, the cornerback room, I know we had some backup corners in, including some of our freshmen. Cornerback play is obviously not going to be a strong suit this year, and it's not going to be anywhere near what we had last year when we had 2 all-ACC corners in Mario Goodrich and Andrew Booth. But it's become apparent that corner is an issue, or at least a position we need to develop with our freshmen, because right now it's not up to par. Levante Bentley, I want to shout him out. Linebacker had a couple of nice plays down late in the game. Just want to give him a quick shout out because I thought he played well and he flashed. Brzee had a couple good plays this game. Miles Murphy had one play where he ran basically across the entire field and chased down a quarterback in pursuit. So I think he had a couple splash plays after being pretty quiet against Georgia Tech. I think Makuba had a couple good plays, if I recall. Who else? Carter had a couple good plays. I don't think Trenton Simpson really flashed during this one. But I did think there were some good plays by defense. I know I kind of said defense allowed a little bit more yards than I was expecting. That's not to say they didn't play well. I know Rook, I think, had a sack or a tackle for a loss on the first couple of drives very early on. So it was a good day for some individual defensive players as a whole. Not the most comfortable I felt with the defense, but it was a good day for some guys on that unit. And then Cade came in late in the game. I think he only had 2 or 3 drives. I turned the game off admittedly with about 2 minutes left because I wanted to go eat some food and then watch App State versus A&M. The finish there. Cade did not look nearly as accurate or comfortable today as he did against Georgia Tech. And this might be why DJ is still in QB consistently, because Cade did not look comfortable today at all. Even when he was rolling out, he really did not look like he was in his environment. He really didn't look great today. So maybe they've got to trust the coaching staff because they've seen these guys in practice for months now. And maybe they know that Cade, he can have epic moments like he did against Georgia Tech, where everything runs well, everything's clean, everything's smooth. And he'll come in today against Furman and look like he's a freshman, look like he's a true freshman, trying to learn the offense and learn how to be poised and learn how to maybe not completely void the pocket and scramble too early and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's basically all I got today. And there's only so much you can take away from a Furman game, but I just want to mention some things I liked, some things I didn't like, some things to monitor. Oh, Bo Collins. Speaking of things I like, one more thing. Bo Collins. Big fan. He is going to be the next true Clemson receiver who probably gets drafted. I don't think at this point, Justin Ngata, who also had a decent day today, I don't think he's going to get drafted. I don't think E.J. Williams will get drafted. Bo Collins and then Tony Williams are probably the next best guys who have a shot from Clemson being drafted as wide receivers. Both of them look pretty good today. They both have flashed early this year, and I'm excited to see what they have for the rest of the season.